We've had a really good last couple weeks, and obviously finishing up the season, playing in the Sweet 16, and being a basket shy of the Elite Eight. We came into this off season with positive energy and positive vibes, and we couldn't be more excited about the grad transfers that we've added to our roster, and Trey Porter and Ehab, and then obviously with getting the paperwork back today on Jordan Brown, couldn't be more excited about adding a 5-star power forward to the roster as well.
What's it going to be like for you to be able to look down your bench and see guys and see depth and be able to have that now?
Well, I think is when we're in the layup line and coming off a bus, and during the national anthem, you look down at our team. It's gonna have the look of an NBA roster as far as size goes. Obviously we've only been here 3 full seasons, and we've tried to fill holes each year. And the one thing that we knew was missing was size and depth, and we certainly feel like we've addressed those 2 concerns. And it's not often that you look at a guy like Jordan Caroline, if he comes back from testing the NBA waters, that he'll go from the starting center spot to the small forward spot, and our 4s and 5s are going to look a lot different than they have of late, and that's a good thing. And then it's going to be up to our coaching staff to try to figure out exact style of play. And then when the players are here for the 8 weeks that they'll work out during the 10-week summer session, it's going to be our job to try to figure out the best we can in a short amount of time, roles, and not having, we don't want to lose what we've been really good at, which we just did a project looking at the last 5 minutes of every game we played this year, and how our stats rise the last 5 minutes a game, even though we were supposed to be tired and lack depth, but we've actually got better down the stretch of games. And so all those things, now we got to try to put this piece to the puzzle together.
What does it say about your program that you guys were able to sign a McDonald All-American?
I mean, the Jordan Brown has been long. We've been recruiting him since the day we were allowed to, and when you recruit somebody for that long of extended period of time, and you really start to know the player and the parents on a personal level, and we would have been devastated if we wouldn't have gotten Jordan to come here, because there was just so much time and effort, and then you start to fall in love with the kid, and but I think that in a short time frame, obviously making the Sweet 16, had a huge part in trying to get a 5-star player, and we laid this thing out for the Browns many months ago on where we thought we could go. And then you start gaining respect when you make a tournament in year 2, and then in year 3 you're able to to parlay that into a Sweet 16. And I think right now nationally we've developed a reputation of having a really good basketball program, and scholastically a great place to go to school. And then when kids come on campus, they're blown away with the beauty of our campus as well.
What will Jordan Brown bring to your team on the court?
Jordan's going to bring a lot. He can play facing up. To have that size, to have a 6'11" player at the power forward spot. We feel like the pieces fit for him, and they fit really well for us. Obviously, Trayshawn Thurman, Trey Porter, Jordan Brown, those 3 guys playing the bulk of minutes at the 4 and 5 for us are gonna change us physically. Jordan Brown playing next to guys like Caroline and Trey Porter and Trey Thurman, their strength being upperclassmen and guys with age is really going to help a young freshman. But Jordan Brown's going to be able to do a lot of things. He can face up. He can knock down 15-foot, 17-foot shots. He's a guy that can handle the ball and dribble handoffs. He's a very good passer at the elbow area. And then he's got an old school part to his game too. He's an old school back to the basket, throw it in the post. He can crab dribble, find cutters against double teams. And then this will be a big summer for him to gain weight and gain strength as well with Coach Eck.
First time you saw Jordan play that made you think, I want to go get that guy?
It was probably a really long time ago because my sons kind of are in between Jordan, so I actually got a chance to watch him at a really, really young age. And, you know, you could tell next level, you know, talent, high ceiling even right now. Like, he's got so much growth in his game. You know, some guys kind of peak, and Jordan's only going to get better in so many different areas. So I think just the thought that we're getting a really young player who's got a lot of growth to go in his game, and he wants to get better, and he understands the work that it requires to get better. It's going to be a big summer for our team and for him.
What was your, I guess, anxiety level on the day he announced? Did you have a good feeling that it was going to go your way? I mean, did you have any indication before he announced?
Yeah, I mean, I had a pretty good feeling for, you know, a couple months, but until, you know, when your dad's a coach, you remember certain things. And I know when my dad was at the University of Minnesota, I'll never forget the look on his face when he found out Adrian Dantley and Lionel Hollins were not coming to Minnesota, and they were going to ASU and Notre Dame, and he was shell-shocked for quite some time. And you know, I kept telling the staff when we were feeling good, I kept telling that story that you never know until you get the commitment.
How do you think he'll deal with the pressure of being a five-star recruit and being a freshman on a team with a ton of seniors and a ton of experience? How do you think, as a person, that he'll handle that?
I think it's a great opportunity for a five-star that's you know, that's gotten so much recognition at a young age to play with a bunch of veterans. And, you know, we feel like our veterans are really, really going to be able to help him. And he doesn't have, you know, to shoulder unnecessary burdens on a freshman. So I think for all those reasons, it's a great fit. And our returning guys really wanted him to be a part of the team. And I think they recognize the talent, but they also recognize that they're going to have to show leadership. And you know, with any freshman, or it could be a rookie at the pro level, there's always ups and downs. And so it's going to be really important for us to be there for him and to help guide him throughout his first year in college.
Can you remind me of anybody that you've coached before, watched before during your time in college ball?
Yeah, I think that, you know, as I think about some of the characteristics, every player's got his own niche, and I think people always want to try to compare. And so whenever you're asked that, every player is different, but he does have some characteristics. When I was an assistant coach with the Hawks, of Sharif Abdul-Rahim, and then later got to coach Sharif with the Kings. He's got some of those same characteristics: great length, play with his back to the basket, face up, kind of a hybrid forward type players is what you hope for down the road.
In that McDonald's All-American game, not only to play in it, but he was one of the highest scorers, 26 points. What did you take away from his performance in that game?
Yeah, I mean, I think first of all, anytime that, you know, you're a high school player, you always, you know, one of your goals is, how do I ever become a nominee for a McDonald's All-American? And then you start thinking about, if you're elected to play in it, and then, you know, can you play well in it? There's only a handful of guys that are ever able to get into it, and then let alone to play at such a high level against that type of competition. You know, I think speaks volumes to how Jordan's able to elevate his game against the top competition. And, you know, by most accounts, he's rated the top player in the state of California. And you know, we all know that state's produced so many wonderful, talented players.
You said kind of looking down your bench, it's going to look like an NBA roster because of size. Do you also feel like that because of the amount of depth that you look down and have now?
Yeah, I mean, we feel like we have great depth. We feel like everybody on our roster heading into the season can play. So we're going to talk about, you know, trying to play at a little bit faster pace than we have, even though we have some post guys now, and extending our defense a little bit more than we have in the past, and maybe playing a little bit more junk defenses like we did in years 1 and 2 and kind of got away from it last year. It's going to be a fun off season for the coaches. We're in every day, full days, because we know that we have a lot of things that we need to tinker with and explore some different avenues than maybe the way we've played the first 3 years here.
This is obviously a huge week for the Twins, but have you had conversations with Caleb, Cody, and Jordan? I mean, and what have those been?
Yeah, no, I talk to Cody and Caleb and Jordan almost daily, if not daily, sometimes twice a day. And you know, our whole stance, you know, as a program and as an athletic department is really to try to help these guys reach their goals. Obviously, all three want to play in the NBA, and so we just want to try to present them with as many opportunities and get as much feedback as they possibly can. And they've had really good workouts, and for our program to have three players get an opportunity to play at the NBA Compound, which we had with Cam Oliver last year, and now this year Cody and Caleb. Three guys is a lot because it's really, really hard to get into that Chicago pre-draft camp, and 65 to 70 players are given that opportunity. And again, to have three guys come from our program speaks volumes for the talent that we have. And we'll just have to wait and see what happens between now and the 30th. And we hope all three of those guys continue to have great workouts individually with their when they go and do their six-man skill development with NBA teams. And then hopefully the two guys that get the opportunity to play at Chicago play really well as well.
How's Lindsey Drew's recovery been going?
Yeah, I think with Lindsey Drew, it's our trainer Ron is optimistic and says that Lindsey's like 3.5 or 2.5 weeks ahead of where he thought he would be. I'm not quite sure how we come up with that. I've torn my Achilles, and I didn't really know where I stood until about 7 months, and still don't think I know where I am, and that's many, many years later. So, but Lindsey, it's going to be his, you know, I've said it from the very beginning, it's going to be Lindsey's decision, his father, Larry, and his mom, Sharon. It's going to be those three are going to make the decision along with our medical staff on when he's cleared to play and then when he'll come back. And Lindsey's hopeful that he can, and his goal is to play this upcoming season. And all we're trying to do as a coaching staff is read as much as we can on guys like Brandon Jennings and Chauncey Billups and Rudy Gay and DeMarcus Cousins and guys that have had that injury, players like Kobe Bryant, and see how their stats when they got back to where they were, and do our own little study to help educate all of us on this injury. And that's what we'll continue to do until he's ready to play.
How important was adding Trey Porter to getting Jordan to come here, a guy who could play center so he could play his more natural power forward position?
Really significant. I think that with Jordan Brown and his family, the Trey Porter was huge. Jordan's really excited to play with Trey, and vice versa. Trey Porter's excited to play with Jordan Brown, and maybe the most excited guy is Jordan Caroline because he wants to move back to the small forward spot. And again, I think it just kind of shows or illustrates the versatility of our team when you can say your starting center off a really good team is now going to slide down to the small forward spot, and he'll still play some power forward as well. And if we want to play small ball and change the complexion of games, he can play a little bit of center as well. But we're a different team again with Trey Porter and Trey Thurman and Jordan Brown, where we have a front line that we hope can dominate inside and dominate the backboards. And when you're a great rebounding team and it ignites your offensive fast break. And you know, we missed Cam Oliver shot blocking. I think that's the one thing in years 1 and 2 we really did a great job protecting the rim, and we took a step backwards last year in that aspect. And certainly now we feel like we have multiple guys that are going to be able to protect the rim when guys get beat off the dribble.
You guys were already pretty deep, and then you had 2 grad transfers. I guess what made you want to do that, add even more depth to the team, and how are you going to get everybody to kind of buy in when there are only 200 minutes to kind of dole out over the course of the game?
I think that, you know, the good thing is a coaching experience of coaching in the NBA Development League, where you have a 10-man roster, and if a guy gets sent down on assignment, that means 11 guys, and maybe 2 guys are sent down, and that's 12 players. And anybody that plays in the minor leagues, in the G League or the D League or the CBA or whatever it is, they want minutes and they want shots and they want to increase their value as players. So I got a lot of experience in that field. When you coach an NBA team, you have a really talented roster with guys making a lot of money on their contracts, and guys are free agents. And so it's important to be able to balance, style of play, balance the guys being happy, because shots and minutes are what make guys happy. And we would not have gone the route that we did if we didn't think that we would be able to have great team chemistry. Because the one thing that we as a staff talk about every day is how happy our guys are to be playing here, and how when we walk in after a win, everybody seems to be really ecstatic, and it's because they've all had big roles, and so we feel like nothing's going to change next year. The 2 grad transfers that we added, we felt like, we needed to be bigger. We felt like we needed to block more shots, rebound the ball better. Trey Porter is going to help in that area, as well as Trey Thurman will. And then we talked about defensively, we wanted to create more steals and jump in passing lanes. And so now Ehab comes in, and he does something that we were not real good at. And so we didn't just add talent. We added talent that really, really fit areas that we were not as good as we wanted to be. And that's why we added those 2 guys. There was other grad transfers that we talked about, maybe didn't quite fit into what we needed. And I think it's got to be a good fit for the players, and it's got to be a really good fit for the program as well.
How much did last year's run to the 16 and signing Jordan Brown will help you recruit freshmen if that's the direction you decide to go in the upcoming years?
Yeah, I think, obviously, the transfers have had such a huge impact here. And you look at what Jordan Caroline as a transfer has done, and you look at what the Martins have done on the floor, and what Kendall Stevens did, and Marcus Marshall. I mean, those transfers have had a huge impact. But what gets lost in all that is the impact that Cameron Oliver and Lindsey Drew have had. When we got the job, we started 2 freshmen, and those 2 freshmen started every game. Obviously, Cam went the pro route after 2 years, but Lindsey Drew is a 3-year starter as an incoming freshman. And now we have Jordan Brown, who's going to have a huge role in what we do. And, so when you think about that, in a short amount of time, we've had some really, really, really good freshmen. Josh Hall has had some big minutes for us as a freshman. And then you look at KJ Himes and Vincent Lee, 2 other guys that have committed to us as freshmen. And so we feel like we've kind of mixed the 2. And that's the route that we want to continue to go. We want to add really good transfers, and we want to also add incoming freshmen, because we think that balance is how you become really good over extended period of time.
You guys have had a pretty killer offseason already. I guess what's left on the to-do list? What do you guys have to get accomplished before the start of next season? Finish.
Yeah, Coach Ruta's been slacking on the schedule. Sometimes you bask in your glory. And Ruta's now known as the top mid-major schedule maker, and he's fallen short of a couple games as of this moment. So a lot of pressure on Coach Ruta. But I think as a staff now, it's the fun time for us. Meaning we have a new roster that's different than in past years, and so it's going to be up to us to tinker and explore. And when the guys are here in the summer, we're going to work like we always do on skill development, but I also think from a scheme standpoint, we got a lot of new faces and a lot of new roles, and the 4 guys that sat out last year know who we are and know what's expected, and then the new guys are going to come into an environment that work ethic and playing hard is demanded on a daily basis, and but we're going to try to do some things differently, and I think that any coach and any coaching staff, that's what's neat, is to do different projects and, study why is Villanova really good. Maybe it's because their defense, and people don't talk about that enough. And so we have about 5 or 6 projects going on. We talked about the last 5 minutes of the game. We just did a project on that, tried to dissect, why were we good in the last 5 minutes of games, and which guy shot a higher field goal percentage the last 5 minutes of the game. And so we'll just continue to try to get better as a coaching staff and lay the groundwork for a new style and identity that we might have going into next season.
I think a lot of folks here are happy to see Jalen Townsell staying in town. What does it mean to add the Spanish Springs kid? What do you like about him?
Can't comment on anybody.
Do you schedule any differently given where this team is now with, adding a McDonald's All-American? I mean, do you try and present it more challenges because of what the potential could be as far as what seed you can get if you play well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, the one thing that we want to do from a scheduling standpoint is do what we did last year, which is win the games you schedule, and then also challenge yourself and challenge yourself in such that, if you lose a game at Texas Tech, you've done enough research to feel like they're going to be better than people think. And TCU, we felt like they were going to be a really good team. And, I'm even calling David Patrick, who's on TCU staff, and he's like, yeah, we're going to be pretty good. And I just talked to Anthony Coleman today at Arizona State, and they think they're going to be really good. And so it's important to try to play teams that are really, really good. You look at a place like the Summit League. How do you get a team on your schedule that can win that league? And that takes a lot of time on the coaching staff. And then we want to play in environments that can prepare ourselves if we're fortunate enough to get back to the tournament. We felt like playing the game at Staples Center last year helped us because of what the arena looks like and the size of it. And so we're trying to get multiple games in NBA arenas, hopefully 2 or 3 that we can play in to try to get our players used to playing in that environment. So there's a lot of factors, but we want to play as many good teams as we can get that'll play us.
Jordan Brown could have went to a Power 5 with all the bells and whistles and the charter flights and the waterfalls in their locker rooms, but he opted not to do that. What does it say about him that he went to a school where he felt like he could be, he wasn't kind of derailed by the glitz and glamour of what other schools maybe were able to offer?
I mean, I think it just says so much about the Brown family to really take their time and really think through this thing and to weigh the positives and negatives of everybody that was recruiting Jordan. I think that when they made their final decision, because they had exhausted everything, and, he was the last guy basically to commit in his range of where he was ranked and stuff, and I think they feel great about it. And, we do too. I mean, it's been a long relationship, and he's the one recruit that I personally have been heavily invested in. And I think there was a great comfort between head coach and family, and they see that, if we don't make that Sweet 16 run, I don't know if we're fortunate enough to get Jordan, but I think that the family recognizes we can be as good as Power 5 schools that were recruiting him, and I think the development part was huge. The belief in our staff that we could help develop him to become the best player that he could possibly be.
Was there ever a moment in the process, you guys were the first offer and you were strong really late, but in that 3-year period where you just felt like, you weren't going to be able to get him because of, you're not a Power 5 school? Was there ever a moment where you're like, this just isn't going to work out?
I wish that my wife Danielle was sitting here and could answer if we ever thought there was. Yes, it was like this. It was a roller coaster, and I know my family, like my sons, they know how invested I was in it, because it might be, 7 a.m. on Christmas morning, and before I said good morning to family members, I was texting Jordan Brown. And there wasn't a day that went by that I didn't text him, and it usually happened between 6 a.m. and 7 a.m. almost every single morning. And it could be about a game that, that we watched him play in, or it could just be checking in on him academically. But yeah, there was a lot of times when it was a roller coaster, which it is for, recruiting any great player.
Was it a concern when he canceled the on-campus visit?
No, because he still came.
Obviously, it brings high expectations. People are talking about like Final Four and stuff like that. I guess, how do you balance that? How do you use that as, how does that not derail the team and, thinking that they've already accomplished something that needs to be earned over the offseason and throughout the season?
I think it's June 10th. Is that the Sunday, the day before summer school? So June 10th, when we meet, they're going to get hit with a lot of stuff. Welcome them back to school, but then, we haven't proven anything. We have so many new faces, and, yes, it's on paper it's probably the most talented team that we've had, and the deepest team, and the tallest team, but we've had some incredible 3 off seasons, incredible, and we need to have a great off season this year, and guys got to really work, and as a coaching staff, we only are allowed so much court time with them, and so it's going to be important individually that they do what they've done, which is get in the gym amongst teammates and self-coach themselves, and then to really be focused and work hard with Coach Eck. Those are all going to be keys for us, because we can only do so much in that 8-week time frame during the 10-week summer schools.
What did it mean to see the campus rally around the big announcement and the Rise and Shine movement? Did you kind of just sit back and think, wow, this is pretty special?
I mean, I think the Browns thought it was really cool, and so did we. The idea was kind of a late night. I called Coach Gus first, because Coach Arginal always has some really good ideas, and he told me the other day after the fact that when he hung the phone up, he looked at his wife Hannah and told her that I really was crazy and that I needed to quit coming up with so many stupid ideas, but he had to backtrack on the comment after he saw the enthusiasm and the fun that our student body had with it.
Just a follow-up question. You were saying that you kind of saw Jordan play in between your 2 sons. Do you recall how old he might have been at that time?
I can't. I mean, it's been a long time. I can't tell you the exact time that I saw him play, but he's played against both of them at some point. He might not know it, but I do.